Hey everyone, welcome to Richard Skipper Celebrates 2021 Year in Review. I'm Leo Rodriguez, video editor for Richard Skipper Celebrates, and we put together a selection of our most viewed episodes to celebrate all the talent, stories, and personal insight we've gathered all year from watching Richard celebrate and interview these legendary, working, and struggling artists, musicians, writers, singers, playwrights, authors, dancers, the list goes on. Look, don't miss out on any of our celebrations, past or present. Go to richardskipper.com or richardskippercelebrates.com and subscribe. Now, besides the experts that we've chosen for you, you're also going to meet some of my other production shipmates and hear about their favorite moments too. Yes, I said production shipmates, because Richard is our skipper extraordinaire. So now, without further ado, Richard Skipper Celebrates 2021 Year in Review.
What was the impetus for you to tell your story and to put it on the pages of this book?
You know, I think we've had such an interesting life. The things we went through, from coming from preachers' kids to being pop music singers, you know, that it was really interesting to me. So I figured it'd be interesting to some of the other people. Mm-hmm. I started writing a book 10 years ago, and we kind of figured and hummed with it, and we never got it out. And so then me and my brother started, and we finally got it out last year, 2020. It was released, and it's hard to do because you're pulling up all these memories, and not all of them are good. Mm-hmm. You know, and I had to pull up things that I didn't want to think about anymore. You know, and it took quite a few years for us to even get this fairy tale together. Mm-hmm. And he would write, he'd send it to me, and I would go over it and send it back to him to take out this and put in that, and he'd do the same with me. And it took us quite well over a year to finish it. And
what was your process like in writing the book? Did you keep journals, as your career was unfolding and moving forward, or did you really have to rely on the memories that you had?
I did not keep journals. I kept journals back in the 70s and some of the 80s, but then all of a sudden I stopped. Mm-hmm. But those things I have, but most of them are not really.
Don't worry about it. I haven't. So I want to ask you, do you still play the accordion?
God, no. The accordion died was in my basement in 67, and I threw a real big party that night.
Good for you. Now, I was very fortunate.
I actually started playing the accordion when I was 3, and I gave my first concert at the age of 4.
What are some of your earliest memories about the first time that you appeared before an audience?
Well, when I heard the applause, it was like a heavenly sound I've never forgotten. And I guess I became addicted to the applause, because that's always such a great feeling all throughout the years, is to have audience response. That's why I always enjoyed doing personal appearances more than movies or recordings or anything, was to work before an audience.
So, as you started to write the book, the first interview that you got, and then we're going to start delving, and we're going to go over the timeline of Karen's life. Mm-hmm. What was the first interview that you got, and you went, wow, this is really happening?
Well, the very first one was her childhood friend, a lady by the name of Debbie Cudicello, who grew up with Karen in New Haven. And we connected. She at that time was a first grade elementary school teacher, so we connected on that. She knew that I was just starting out my teaching career at that point. And I think for that reason alone, she trusted me like teacher to teacher. Mm-hmm. And, then after that just kind of was the only one for a while until shortly after the book of the compilation book, Yesterday Once More is what it was called, Memories of the Carpenters and Their Music. Shortly after that came out, it started to open a few doors. When you reach out to somebody, if you aren't the author of something already, or you don't have any clout in that way, sometimes it's hard to get people to visit with you. And just the fact that you have had a publication, it raises that to a new level. And finally you have something you can say when you either call these people or reach out by email.
Hi, I'm Glen Charlow, and I'm happy to be a part of Richard Skipper's team. I'm the graphic design guy that creates all of the overlays you see advertising each one of his discussions. One of my favorites of the year had to be on July 5th with Eileen Kristen. I guess that's just because I know Eileen myself. It was great to see her, and I loved hearing all the little tidbits that she had to offer. And that's just because Richard always knows just the right questions to ask to make each one of his interviews a celebration of its own. And in case you haven't already, please join in on the celebration yourself by going to www.richardskippercelebrates.com. Thanks.
And you did go on the road with Ginger Rogers, so the experience of working with her.
Yes. And I really was kind of through with the road, although I did go one other time when I did Canterbury Tales. So I went on the road, but it was a brief, 4 months, I think. So,
and then when you came into Different Strokes, the experience of coming into a show that has already been established, when you came into that show, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 5th season. So there's already a rhythm going on. Was that an easy transition to come into a show that's already been running like clockwork for 5 years?
It really was not easy at first, because I cared so much and I was so happy to get the part. And
although he wasn't in the original production of Dolly, Leroy Reams, you became very good friends. How did you and Leroy Reams meet? And you've become very good friends over the years.
I believe, I'm not sure about this, but I think maybe through Carol Cook. They're very good friends, and she is a treasured friend of mine.
Absolutely.
And
when was the last time that you saw Leroy?
I think at the 50th anniversary of Dolly, we went out with Sandra Lee. Hi, honey!
And honey, you're looking good, and even better, because here we are now, darling, part of what Pam Myers calls the Cotton Top Club.
Personally, thank you for giving all of us such wonderful performances on film. Now a great book to read as well. Thank you for the gifts that you've given to the world and for your body of worth. Thank you.
Oh God, Richard, thank you. This has been such an. I'm not saying anything I don't mean. You've given me a beautiful time here, and you have given me a beautiful time. You really have. I've loved it, and it's being the clips that your lovely guy has found. I've never seen any of this stuff, so I'm seeing it for the first time, and it's a real treat for me. A beautiful reminder, because time goes and you don't think of these things, but I'm thinking of them now thanks to you. I've just had the most wonderful time with you, honestly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. George, love you. Have a great Again, in this incredible book, everyone, Mom, Pa, Kettle on Film, you really give us a background of both Marjorie Main and Percy Kilbride and their history. Let's start with Marjorie Main, who, interestingly enough, just 2 days ago was the anniversary of her passing. We're just 2 days off of celebrating her.
April 1975.
Yeah, she was so beloved at MGM, had a phenomenal film career. But if you can just tell us some of the things that surprised you in terms of your research on her.
Marjorie Main is a person that you believed that she was essentially a farm wife, somebody who had no sense of fashion, who had poor grammar, uneducated. Nothing could have been further from the truth. She was a classically trained stage actress who specialized in Shakespeare, and she was also a teacher, an acting teacher.
As you're writing the book, was there a Holy Grail interview for you? Obviously, a lot of the people that were involved in those films are no longer with us, unfortunately, but they're still on film. So was there one particular interview that you were after, and when, where, and how did that come about when you achieved that goal?
Well, my first desire was to reach out to Lori Nelson, and you're very familiar with her, obviously. She was in a lot of Universal pictures, like the Creature movies, and she was a lovely young lady, and she was made a star by these B pictures that she was in, and she appeared in 2 only of the Kettle films, but I associated her so much with the role of Rosie, the Kettle's eldest daughter. I thought I would love to get in touch with her. I managed to track down her husband, and he told me, sadly, that Lori would love to have been interviewed for the book, but she had Alzheimer's, and she was completely immobile, unable to communicate.
Hi, I'm Rose Apuzzo, and I do public relations for Richard Skipper Celebrates on YouTube. That means getting guests for his show, and one of my favorite moments was Frida Payne, her CD release, and she came back, which is a testament to Richard for her book release. Thank you to Alan Mercer and David Salador for helping to get that into fruition. And everybody, please go on to Richard Skipper Celebrates and join the fun for 2022, because we got a lot coming up, a lot's going to happen, and I'm just honored to be a part of the Richard team. So, Happy New Year, everyone.
The last question you asked me was, what do I miss about the early days? And now, I think what I miss is all the people that are no longer with me. They've moved on. And it's sad, but I know that it's also kind of beautiful, because they also have had an impact on me, and I can look at the beautiful things and the joyful things that they brought into my life. And I hold on to those little pockets of joy, and I try to tell their stories. And if we had a longer interview, I could probably talk about some other. Oh, I want to tell you one more person, because she was very valuable. My friend Gretchen Muller. In high school, when I put that record out for my aunts, she helped promote that. And I remember her going to one of the local TV stations, and because I didn't have the guts to do it, and she just kind of promoted me, and she goes, "This is my friend," and she was so pumped. And so people like that, I wrote a song for her called Adieu. They're no longer with me, but I don't forget that. And so just like I'll never forget that you're having me on your show today. And I hope we'll continue. I know we'll continue.
A little bit.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, a lot of people, when they refer to you, they do say, she's my Cinderella. And I don't think they refer to Julie Andrews as my Cinderella, or Brandy as my Cinderella. And I have a theory about that. I think it's because you appeared in our homes every year consecutively for 8 years. And I think we grew up watching you year after year. But you and Julie Andrews do have something in common. Walt Disney came a calling for both of you, and you both made your movie debuts in Disney films. Tell us a little bit about your first leading man in a Disney film.
Do you mean John Davidson?
I mean John Davidson.
Well, he was an angel. I mean, he was just... Oh! There you are.
What? I'm just listening. I want to hear the story. What? Yeah, I want to hear what you're going to say. Keep going.
Okay, I will. He was incredibly handsome, still is. And he was, I think we met in New York. Didn't we meet in New York prior to? I felt like we did, but anyway, he was sweet and charming and funny and fun, and we were, as I remember it, he was incredibly generous, with me and I with him. We were very matched and seemed to just immediately have an easy repartee and camaraderie. We just sort of, so it was very easy to play love interests, and we were so great together, weren't we?
Absolutely, you were great together.
Come on, John.
I was not relaxed with you. I was very intimidated because I had seen you, the little red hat, the little red hat in 110 in the Shade, and you danced, and you were a wonderful actor and singer, and you were just so way beyond where I was,
Looking over her career, is there a particular period of body of work that you really love above all others, or does it run the gamut across her entire career?
It runs the gamut, it does. The Miracle Worker, both versions are certainly, as we should know, she played Helen Keller and then later Annie Sullivan 20 years later. The Patty Duke Show, of course, which was the first thing I ever saw with her, as I said. Pomiana, for reasons I mentioned. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, that I just thought, like, why didn't she get an Emmy for this, or something like that. Some she did. Like My Sweet Charlie was one. Captains and the Kings, which we just saw clips of both of them. I miss those days of being able to look forward to those TV movies that were on the big three networks mostly, and just counting down the hours to it, and remembering I was so glad to be on Eastern time because that meant I could see it 3 hours before people on the West Coast, and it was just, I just miss those. I can't believe I'm admitting this on here, but I actually get weepy-eyed when I watch some of the old promos for some of them that I remember from my childhood, like music even, from the CBS Sunday Night Movie or whatever.
Hi, I'm Tess LaBella. I'm happy to be part of the Richard Skipper team. I'm also the voiceover for the intro of the show. Richard is always about celebrating. And that's the question that he asks all the time. Who and what are you celebrating? Well, one of the highlights of my year was that Richard actually celebrated me and my co-author, Petrel Marie Osby, on a children's picture book that we wrote called Merry Witchmas.
So, in what situation would you most enjoy being temporarily invisible?
Wow. Pass. Can I go second? No.
Tess, you want to go first?
No. A day on the beach.
Okay, that's good. Tess?
I think in any one of my children's homes.
That's good. I love that.
So, Richard, I want to thank you. That was the highlight of our year, and we were thrilled to do it. With that, we're going to work really hard to bring you some wonderful special guests. So, bye for now. Oh, and don't forget, sign up for the Skipper's Guide. It's never, never, never gossipy. Talk to you soon.
And my first question to you, what is the nicest thing that anyone has ever said to you?
Well, Joe always compared everything to Italy. And wherever we'd go, Mexico, he'd say, it's not Italy. And Paris, it's not Italy. And Beverly Hills, it's not Italy. It's almost Italy. Our garden is almost Italy. And I said to him, Joe, am I almost Italy? And he said, no, you're Italy.
Ah.
Because that was the height. That was the best.